Are you a woman who is ready to take control of her life and achieve anything she wants? In this podcast, you will find the inspiration and motivation you need to become an empowered and successful woman. Hi, my name is Laura Hearn, and I'm so excited for the new season of the Empowered Modern Woman podcast. This season is for women who are fed up with being held back by society's expectations. We're going to talk about everything from career advice to health and fitness tips to help you live your best life. So if that's something that interests you, make sure to hit subscribe and to tune in every week for each of our new episodes. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the Empowered Modern Woman podcast. As you know, I am Laura Hearn, and I am so excited to have Elayne Miller with us today. She is the CEO and founder of Annunciation Designs, which is a hand-lettered greeting card and goods shop. Definitely check it out. All the details on that's in the notes. But she is really focused and obsessed with helping other women raise their children in the faith and tackling the obstacles of being a mom and having a business and striking a balance between all of those things. So, Elayne, thank you so much for being here. How are you doing today, my love?
I am doing just great. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. I'm really excited to have you here today because I know that a lot of times the in thing right now is coaching and service providing. And I love talking to people that also provide goods in their business and how that aligns with their greater purpose. And especially those, like, I feel like it's the niche of businesses and entrepreneurs that often get left out of the conversation. So I feel like so many of our listeners are going to get so much value from hearing about your story and everything that you're up to. So again, thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, I really think I've always wanted to offer a product. I mean, I've even thought about mentoring, coaching, some different things since I've run my business for a while. And it's just been important to me to offer a tangible value. I haven't been ready to offer service based because I just love here's a product and we exchange money. I just think it's so clear cut and makes sense. So
No, and it's this multifaceted thing to me because there's people like me who's like services is so much easier. There's no tangible product design development. There's no inventory cost, those things. But it's like, man, if I had these cards or this at the other, that'd be so cool to add more personalization in products to who I am as a business. So it's like these double-edged swords of depending on where you start, what you think of adding the other side to it, right?
that's so true, right? We're both like kind of meeting in the middle.
Exactly. And you have a lot going on. We were just talking before we hit record. You have a 3 and 6 year old playing around. I have a 3 and 5 year old, and running a business and all of the chaos that just comes with life in where we are in life in general. How do you kind of balance that? Like, I know that's something you talk about a lot, but tell me, how do you strike that balance with family life and business life?
Yeah, I mean, it's come as a journey and a lot of discernment, and it changes over time. But for my family, I'm the stay-at-home provider for my kids. The one watching them, the one making meals and all of that. So for us, that's looked like I want to put as much as I can into doing those things. I'm homeschooling the oldest right now. Um, I want to be focused on those things. But for our family, for all of this to work, a little bit of extra income definitely makes things more stable. And just for my own mental health and creative outlets, I really want to be doing something as well. And so for us, it's looked like kids come first, the rest of the house needs to be like not too bad. And then there's time for business. And we've shifted our whole life to kind of look like that. But on a daily basis, it might look like, okay, well, today I'm not going to clean something up during like nap time or quiet time, I'm going to work on this business thing. But then like another time I do make sure something gets cooked or something gets cleaned up or whatever. So we've had to look at it as like a whole and kind of figure out what's going to work for us. So right now I sometimes have people come over to help with the business. There's someone who I've trained to make most of our products because
Cool.
we do a lot of screen printing, and she ships most of our products as well. And so that takes a huge load off of me to like physically not have to be doing all of the things.
Yeah.
And then we kind of plan it where I stay up a little later than the rest of the household. So I have that extra like hour and a half to answer emails and create new products and create social media posts and do all the kind of like background things that run the business. And we've been doing kind of that version of me running this business for like a year and a half. And that has been the best for us. At other times, we haven't had someone come in to help with it, so it's like me at night trying to ship things, that's a lot more stressful
Yeah, no,
than, whatever I can get to.
it's so true. The dynamics of my household, I feel like is constantly shifting because I'm a
Mhm.
military spouse. My husband's active duty military. And at the beginning of my entrepreneurship journey, my husband was deployed. And I didn't have to worry about another human being's
Mhm.
needs or anything with that. It was just me, the kids, and just doing what we had to do. Then there's, the COVID, and I was in my own system. And as much as I absolutely adore my husband, in between deployments, because he did 2 back-to-back ones, and then we moved, and now he works from home also. And it's just this whole different dynamic of my business
Mhm.
and time and scheduling, and it's important to understand the chapter and stage you are in your personal life and your family life to make sure you keep that balance with your business, right? And sometimes it can happen like out of nowhere. It almost feels like, oh my God, why is none of the stuff that was working like a month ago working
Mhm.
right now?
Mhm.
And I think that that's okay, for lack of a better phrase on that. How have you, worked with those types of like all of a sudden, like either the business scales or there's like, a plateau in something or the changes that can happen with the different seasons of life. How do you kind of tackle those challenges?
Yeah, I mean, we've been through a lot of those too. We've actually moved a few times, and, changed jobs and all of that. So we've been through a lot of changes over the years, plus, adding kids and everything. Um, And really it's like comes down to communication for us. Like my husband is really good about like kind of bird's eye view, like something isn't working here. We need to like figure things out. I'm not as good about it. I'll just like, oh, I guess I'll just stay up 3 hours later tonight and keep working. Like I'm just like in it. And that so him kind of coming in and being like, I think we should figure out something else has been super helpful. So just that kind of like ability to step back, look at what's going on and admit like, okay, I think we should probably change something. And
Yeah.
then I've realized that my husband and I are both very lucky that we just have this kind of, I guess it's kind of like a growth mindset where we're just like, yeah, we can change something and we can improve things. Like we don't feel stuck in what we're doing. And I think cultivating that mindset is super important if you're trying to balance different things, because it just has to be like, okay, right now, what can we do? What can we change to make this better? What can we improve? Where can we bring someone else in to help? Um, all these different factors that sometimes people feel really stuck
Yeah.
in like, oh, I don't have anyone to help with the kids or, whatever it is. And you just kind of have to make a way for that to happen.
It's super important to have, and it's a blessing to have a spouse that's in the same mindset, because I don't know
Mhm.
how many people I have spoken to or interacted with where it's like, my husband just doesn't get it. Just doesn't get it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh God, I'm so glad my husband gets it. I'm just like, thank you. Thank you, God, for the blessing of a spouse that may have not got it at the beginning of like,
Mhm.
what on earth are you doing? To now be like completely supportive, completely entwined in the growth mindset and setting our future, our life, our businesses up for success in making adjustments and knowing that I'm not going to say never, but it's rarely ever perfect,
Mhm.
because it's life and we don't really have real control over it. That's all just, human construct in our minds of trying to think that we have it under control. But we all know who really is pulling the strings here. And I know, when you go to your website and you see all the things, like, you have so many awesome things, in your shop. But the one thing that really stood out to me is your Fiat book, Fiat Ordo.
Mhm.
And I know, that's for busy moms that are working and having kids and all of that. What was your passion? What was the calling that you felt in a little shift, to write this book?
Yeah, so I wrote Fiat Ordo a couple years ago. It actually had a lot to do with that feeling of like, okay, I see that my husband and I have this growth mindset. And if we can help other people kind of cultivate that in themselves. And so the idea is it's like a 28-day journal, and you kind of walk through, okay, what does my life look like now? What things do I want to change? And so it's that kind of, my husband and I are both studied engineering, so we have that like analytical mind. And so it's like helping other people who may not have that way of thinking about things to like write out the list. Okay, what's going on now that I want to see changed? And then like what small steps can I take to change those things? And so really it's like a written out version of that thought process that we use to evaluate where we are and to make sure that we're continually improving to get to where we'd like our family to be.
I love it. I'm going to buy it. And everyone, the link to it will be in the notes. I am currently, whatever. I know how to speak English. I am currently on my own Marian journey and Marian study of my own Fiat. And I love finding others' interpretation and how they've gone through that same process of being a mother and having this blessing of motherhood and womanhood ahead of them and how to navigate it, through the faith, through Mary. And I just love when I fall into these different books. I mean, do I end up with a collection of these journals and books that I are on the to-do list? Like, I'm going to finish this one, go to this one. Yes, but it's so profound, I think, when you find other women that are living this life as well, and how you can come together in community to learn and grow together so you don't feel so isolated, whether it's through faith, through business collaborations, or both, which I'm a huge fan of both. um, that's so important. What are your thoughts on that part of collaboration and communication, amongst moms and business owners?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're spot on. Like when I look around, I usually see kind of two groups. There's like in my circle, I know this isn't like the wider world, but there's like the moms who are like staying home with their kids and all of their attention has to be on the kids, maybe on homeschooling or the little ones or whatever it is. And then on like the other side, there's like these business women who are like going all in and doing all the things. And it can be really hard to marry the two and feel like, okay, I can give, everything my kids need, and then I can also serve God in another way. And I've cultivated a really nice community, just from looking around at who else is kinda doing the same things, that I'm doing, and it's so important to have those people who understand, like, "Oh my goodness, my kids have been sick all week, and I haven't been able to get this done," or, things that don't come up in the kind of, like, girl boss kind of communities where it's like, "Just work harder." It's like, that doesn't really work for a mom. Like we have limits like that are very defined by our children's needs. And I see it as like I know you talk about empowered modern women, like that is to me, like the most empowered is like, yes, you can have a successful business, whatever that means for your family. It doesn't have to look like what someone else would call success. And you can take care of your family in whatever way that means for your family. And I just see that bridge between the two as like that is empowered. Like you can do those things. Now you may not be able to full-time run a huge business by yourself while watching your kids or something. Like there
Yeah.
are limits, but being able to bridge it in the way that is best for your family and that God's calling your family to, I think is like the ultimate empowered, the ultimate realizing all of your vocation. And so that's really what I've been focused on for a while when I talk to other women is like, you know, yes, it's going to be hard, of course, like, doing anything successfully is hard.
Yes.
Um, but like you can find what it is for you. And I think that's the most important thing is you don't have to listen to like when I listen to business podcasts, a lot of times it's like, you've got to grow your business to 6, 7 figures, and then you've got to sell it and all these things. And that's not what I want for mine. I have no intention of growing it with the goal of selling it. I grow it so that my audience gets bigger and more people are able to find the things that I offer because I think they're helpful for families
Yeah.
and, that I can contribute to my family. So I just love to help people be able to have their hands in both, but in a way that is really healthy and good for their family.
That is so powerful. And like what I get from that, and correct me if I totally heard you wrong or not, but so many times as women, whether part of the faithful or not, we are told that our business or professional life and our personal life are two separate boxes. And I think that's a farce. I think that is bullcrap because we are one human. And one of the things I tell my clients and my audience all the time is before you can be successful in your business and scale your business to whatever you want to scale it to, because I think it's so personal, right? There are businesses that are easy to scale to multi figures and blah, blah, blah. You can sell it off. Not all business models fit that, first of all. Let's get that straight, everyone. Nor, like Elayne, is that necessarily the goals that you have with your business, but understanding your true purpose, your greater why, not the dollar amount, but who you want to serve, how you want to serve them, so that as you scale and grow and your financial situation improves because of your business, you can make a bigger impact so that that continues to power your business, power your family life, so that no matter how hard today is, you're still able to show up because you know what you're doing every day with your family life and your business and your entire life is serving something so much bigger than yourself. And I makes me cringe when I hear people putting the different parts of their life in boxes, because to me, COVID, which as horrible as COVID was, that is one of the most beautiful outcomes of it is so many more people remembered humanity in business.
Mhm.
So like that is what I heard from you, which aligns with like my passion and my purpose is marrying those in a way that allows you to be fulfilled and be happy and be joyous and reach the goals that you want to achieve, not what someone else puts on you. It has
Yeah.
no idea anything about you.
Yeah, I love that. I love that idea of doing what's right for you, for your family, and not what everyone else says you should be doing. So that's so important.
Yeah, because I have fallen into some of the like girl power
Yeah.
groups thinking that they were going to be so awesome, especially with my own purpose of empowering other women and being like, this sounds like a fast track to burnout. And I'm going to exit stage left. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for your time. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Exactly.
So, when you look at everything that you're doing, right? Your mom of kid, I know this age is chaos. And you have this amazing business, you have your family, your husband is also growth mindset. What do you see for yourself and for Annunciation Designs in the next few years? Like, what is, and you said you want to be able to just expand your audience, but what is that thing that you're kind of like seeing as that future, that calling for yourself in your business?
Yeah, we've been at a really good place for a while, and what we're trying to work toward is we have a subscription model that right now is a fairly small part of our business. Um, but we that's the one thing we really want to grow because that part is super scalable, super repeatable, and makes the time that I have to put in make more sense. And so that's one thing we've really been focused on is growing that subscription model. And then myself, um, as I kind of talked about earlier, like being able to do less of the hands-on things and just kind of running the creative side of it and the kind of forward facing, maybe the social media or some of the forward facing things. And I love working other people into the business. So I love help having other moms. They sew for me, they, ship for me, all these things.
So
Which it's so awesome to be able to like have help someone else, through my business. So that's been a big part of where I've enjoyed growing. And then that allows me to grow the business without growing the time that I have to put into it,
yeah.
which that's really the goal right now is, how can we grow things, make more, uh, make things run tighter, but in a way that doesn't pull me out of our family anymore. So that's kind of our plans for the future is just continue to grow in ways that don't pull me anymore.
And that is a very delicate balance. It's a very tricky thing because, like you said, it's very easy to just be like, it's okay, I'll just stay up for a couple extra hours and do the thing. It's so easy to get caught into that. So, having the introspection of knowing what you need to do so you don't do that
Mhm.
is so key. And I know with your subscription, it's the Wanderlust Catholic, right? Where you do the handwritten letters, or the original one's handwritten, and then everyone gets a copy of that handwritten letter.
Mhm.
What is that subscription about? So that if anyone is looking to learn more about it or subscribe, tell me a little bit about the passion behind this part of your business that you're growing.
Yeah, so it fits perfectly in with my whole goal of raising kids in the faith. So it's uh I call it like if a friend went on a pilgrimage and then wrote you a letter about it, might be what you'd receive. So I draw things that the person would see if they went to visit a church or a monastery or something cool to see. So I'll draw pictures of what the church looked like, uh, what the sunset looked like, whatever you might see there that's really cool, and then just write a letter about what it's like to experience that. And so it's a way for like kids to enter into a story of visiting this kind of treasure, and for families to learn about, what we have in our kind of history of our faith and different aspects of geography and culture, and it's kind of ties together a lot of different areas. So it's perfect for like homeschool families or families that want their kids to kind of get a little bit of a different immersion in what the faith has to offer.
I love that. You guys, and don't worry, there's a link for that. I'm having all of the links. Anything that we are referring to that is either a product or a book or any of that stuff, all of that should be in the show notes. And I just love learning about other women's businesses and how they're growing it, especially those of us that are faith centered with families. And Elayne, I have loved this conversation, and I know that I've gained a lot of value and like different perception. That's the one thing that I love about doing these interviews is that even if we're from similar walks of life, we're not the same person. We don't have the exact same business, but hearing how other people have set themselves up for success and make systems so that they don't burn out is so powerful, because there isn't one way to achieve any of this. Because again, every one of us are uniquely different. Our brains all work a little bit differently. And gathering these different nuggets of knowledge is just so valuable that, again, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your morning with me today. And if you were to give yourself, I ask every single person this, if you were to give yourself advice 3 years ago, 4 years ago, where you were still unsure of things, what piece of advice, nugget of advice, would you give you 3 years ago about how to tackle some of the challenges that you were facing?
Yeah, I mean, as you were talking about kind of people figuring it out and stuff, I was just thinking about like 3 to 4 years ago when my business was a few years old. And I mean, I was just like head underwater, like trying to breathe, like working so hard. And so I think if I could go back, um, and even at the time, I wasn't trying to grow that fast, but I just was trying to do it everything, everything I could. Oh, an opportunity came, I had to do it. And so I would go back and tell myself, it's okay. Like you'll get to your goals. Just take time to breathe, take time to be with your family, and the rest will work out. And, we don't have to be pushing so hard all the time. If we're doing the hard work in an appropriate time, it's going to happen for us. It just may take longer than we want, but that's the healthiest way to do it. So I would definitely tell myself to just cool it a little.
Yes, me too. So part of me appreciates those words of wisdom as well. And I am sure so many other people are appreciating that for the stage in life that they are right now. So again, Elayne, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. You guys, this is Elayne Miller. She's from Annunciation Designs. And definitely check out her website, check out her social media. She does such amazing, powerful work to help others bring in the faith to their everyday life so that they can also pass it down to their children. So, Elayne, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And we'll see you around for sure.
All right. Thank you, Laura.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Empowered Modern Women podcast. Again, your host is me, Laura Hearn, and this podcast is for women who are fed up with being held back by society's expectations. We talk about everything from career advice to health and fitness tips to help you live your best life. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit subscribe and leave a review. New episodes come out every single week to help you find the inspiration and motivation you need to become empowered and successful. Be sure to follow us on social media at Money Mindset by Laura.